You know, I'm getting tired of grading my own books. Why don't you grade them for me? Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up an order of comic books that I placed with Professor's Comics on Atomic Avenue in April of 2023. And I'm curious about a couple of things. I'm curious to see if the books in this order grade out according to this particular seller's average grade. I shared in my last unboxing video kind of where I see Dark Dominion Comics in terms of their average grade and shared those metrics there. But as I'm gathering data and as I'm looking at the quality of the books, I am paying attention to trends or maybe other outliers as far as why a seller ranks or rates out the way that they do with me. And with Professor's Comics, I've noticed in the last few orders that I've placed, the average grade has been above 9.0 for near mint books. And you may say, well, that's not great because near mint should be 9.4, and I understand that, but everybody on the internet, I think, overgrades. So what I'm trying to figure out is kind of like what I do with Mile High Comics or some of the other stores, Things from Another World, Midtown, where if I see a book and I see it listed at a particular grade, I can translate that to a real, actual grade point. So for Professor's Comics right now, a near mint book is really borderline VF plus or near mint minus. But the trend has been closer to, I would say, more of a 9.2. But instead of going through every book in this order and grading them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a few books and actually show you a little bit of a different view, maybe kind of an up close, high resolution photo of the book, so that as I'm discussing the book, you can actually look at some of the defects that I'm talking about. I know sometimes I'll just show the book quickly or you'll see it out of the unboxing, but this will give you an opportunity to see up close the kind of condition of the book that I'm dealing with. And then I would love to see some feedback in the comments from you as far as what you think the actual grade is. Because if I'm sitting here saying I get great books from this seller, they're listed in near mint, I get them at a really great price and add a lot of value to my collection, the assumption is that the grades are actually what I say they are, or that it has the potential to be in that 9.4 range if I'm ordering near mint. So I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to go ahead and unbox this order. I'm going to show you the books that I picked up. I'm going to tell you why I bought them and if there's any significance to the books. And then you can kind of play along and help grade these books for me and tell me what you think. And then at the end, I'll show you what I paid for them and then what the fair market value of these books would be if they ended up grading out at those grades or if I were to get them professionally graded. So let's take a look at the books that I got from Professor's Comics. Okay, here it is, the order from Professor's Comics. I did pay for shipping on this. Postage paid was $9.95. Orders from the professor always come in this priority envelope. So let's go ahead and open it up. All right, Tape Monster got me again. I was just being stubborn. I wanted to peel the Scotch tape. I did not want to take my box cutter and start slicing through the edge of the spines of these books. I mean, that's what I'm trying to avoid, is going through here and actually slicing through, because I feel like I'm going to, at least one or two of these books are going to be damaged all the way around if I just start hacking away at the Scotch tape. So I was really trying to be careful and peel that off. Again, every seller is different how they package books, and you got to take the good and the bad. And I feel like Professor's Comics has such, not a unique inventory, but will have significant books or books of significance. Maybe not keys. Yes, there are keys on there, but I think it's a good price. And I kind of just put up with this part. I mean, dealing with Scotch tape, it's such a little thing to put up with. I'm not trying to make it a big deal, but you just take the good and the bad with every seller, and I've had a lot of great experiences with Professor's Comics. So I want to go through the books and show you what I got. All right, I had to do a little bit more peeling. The first book is Amazing Spider-Man 282. This book is probably one of, I was going to say my favorite of the 25th anniversary border books. I've always loved this upside down Amazing Spider-Man where he's kind of waving. It's just framed so perfectly here. I do feel like the Uncanny X-Men 25th anniversary border with Wolverine is probably my favorite, but this is right up there. And I know another professor, Professor Salt, he's after all of these books. So, of course, now they're starting to catch my eye again as well. Probably avoid maybe the Care Bears one, but I still love these and will pick them up from time to time. And this might be one that I'll have you grade for me because from what I can tell, everything looks pretty good. You know, a strong candidate to at least be in that 9.4 range. But you really can't beat seeing all the Marvel characters together with black suit symbiote Spidey there on. Got, it looks like a run of Wonder Woman, and this is Wonder Woman number 60. And I noticed on the back looks like it, including a War of the Gods card. There have been a number of great artists that have had a run on Wonder Woman, Bolland included, and that's really why I picked it up and why these books have some significance. So that's Wonder Woman 60, and then sort of back to back here to save a bag and a backing board. Why not double them up here? You got Wonder Woman 80, the hero sandwich. I love these covers where the hero's in the mouth of some sort of beast or monster, and Wonder Woman's all chill, like, yeah, I've got this, no problem. So just a really, really super fun Brian Bolland cover here. And then on the other side, we've got Wonder Woman 82. Same situation, except this is a Brian Bolland cover art with Ares on the cover. So really nothing more here than just the love of a great artist and a great run of covers on a title. Speaking of great artists and great covers, this is Fantastic Four 183. And this cover was done by the great George Perez. And covers like this with so much action, so much going on, they're just lost in this day and age. You have more of the minimal color scheme, singular character profile on a lot of today's covers. You could tell that they're kind of done in advance. Like, hey, does anybody have a really great Batman pose that we've got an upcoming cover we could throw on a variant or something like that? And it has nothing to do with the story inside. And I've always loved covers like this. It's a straight teaser for the story that you're about to read. Sometimes it's a summary of all of the events inside. And no doubt about it, this one has it all. And I think this one is probably another book that I'll have you grade. From what I can see, it definitely has a little bit of a stacking crease, but looks good otherwise. So let me know if you see anything else with this book as you review it, because this is a great 1977 30-cent cover of Fantastic Four. And while I am buying these books for some significance, of course, I'm also looking for books that are adding value to my collection, have a lot of value potential today, not necessarily speculating on growth, but right now, am I able to get this at a good price or a price where the graded version of this is substantial enough that I want to take a chance at buying the book raw here. This is the last of the Wonder Woman covers that I purchased in this order. This is Wonder Woman 67. This, by definition, is quote-unquote a bondage cover. I'm not a collector of these. I think I have mentioned these in the past, so maybe you're like, well, you've bought these before. I previously purchased a Wonder Woman bondage cover. I pressed it, got it graded, and then I sold the slab. I'm not a fan, but if there is some sort of niche market or a collectability with some of these, I do take a chance, especially from a seller like this where it has the potential to be in high grade. One thing I noticed is this one has some slight staple pushing, both and the top and the bottom. It looks pretty straight on here, but I do notice it from this angle that the staples are pushed in just slightly, and I try to avoid that. So this may not end up being a 9.8 candidate. Could be in the 9 to 9.2 range on that one. Here's a book that I always keep my eye out for. This is Venom number 9. This is the first full appearance of Dylan Brock, the son of Eddie Brock, the host for the Venom symbiote. Very cool Ryan Stegman cover. And I'm always on the lookout for these, particularly now when the early Venom the Venom 2018 series, the early issues that were key books, cameos of Null, first full Null, cameo of Dylan, first full Dylan, essentially like issues 1 through 9. I am in the market for those books now because they've cooled off significantly. Donny Cates is kind of pulling away from some of his Marvel duties at this point. So they really are cooled off. And it's an opportunity for me to look at those books and kind of go back to books that were ultra hot back in 2019, 2020 of recent modern character first appearances that I like. And I'm still in the market for a 9.8 of Venom 9. This is my second copy of this, and I'm going to have you grade this one as well and let me know if you think that this one is a 9.8 candidate. I think with some of these books too, this one has just a very gentle, slight stack increase that probably doesn't show up on the scan. But take a look at the spine, the corners, the edges, everything about it, and let me know what you think this book should get in terms of grade. Venom number 9, the first full appearance. So his second appearance, but first full appearance here in Venom 9. All right, now I have a book, Lady Killer number 1 by Joelle Jones, who I adore. I think her art is fantastic. It's so stylized, and I love her line work. Her lines are just slightly thicker, and you can even see that in the detail of this character than I think you would expect to see with pencils. Almost feels like she's drawing with ink. But I'm a big fan of hers, and this is her creator-owned title, Lady Killer. It's been rumored for adaptation by Netflix for the last 2 or 3 years. This is the second print. I love the all red background behind the pink in the logo and on the dress, and really thought that this was a good deal from the professor. I may have you grade this one too, because I'd love to get this one in a 9.8, and I think this one has some potential here. I think that structurally the book looks great, great staple placement. Just see if you notice any other defects that would maybe prevent this one from getting the 9.8. Overall, it looks good. I think it has a chance, but let me know if you see something that I didn't catch. No stack increase on this one. Looks really crisp all around. Lady Killer number 1 by Joelle Jones. Cool story, kind of based in the 1960s. Could be kind of an interesting live action that leans kind of like horror, not necessarily horror comedy, but I think if done right, could make for a pretty good series. All right, a couple of books back to back here again. We've got Daredevil 206 and then Daredevil 207. A couple of filler issues here of Daredevil for me. Pencils on this one, interior pencils by David Mazzucchelli, who's amazing, who's awesome. Cover art by Ed Hannigan. Like this, we got Kingpin in the background, but really nothing more than just some filler issues written by Denny O'Neil. He did 206 and 207. And on 207, we've got cover art by Bill Sienkiewicz, where he has Daredevil fighting off Hydra. Just going through those mid-80s Daredevil books and filling out my run on those. Couple more to go. We've got Ironheart number 7, and the professor has a great mix going all the way back to Silver Age to modern books, and I am trying to pay attention to the conditions of the books in different eras from different sellers too. It might be for an interesting breakdown at some point to go through those metrics. This one looks to be a book that could be a 9.8 candidate. In this issue, you've got the first appearance of Eclipse. Eclipse is a member of the Ten Rings. We don't know if the Ten Rings is going to be a continuous theme in future Shang-Chi related products in the MCU. Possible that character shows up in the Ironheart series, but with Ironheart still scheduled to be released on Disney Plus as a live action series, I think it's a good idea to go back and get the self-titled series single issues. And the last book is Avengers Academy number 1. I'll have you grade this one as well. This is kind of like one of those academy books or young groups of heroes that you feel like at some point somebody's going to take one of these, probably Strange Academy, but could be Avengers Academy, where you've got teenage age heroes trying to live up to the expectations of parents or other older, more established heroes. And this book is significant because it has a number of first appearances. We have the first appearance of Hazmat, Metal, Stryker, Veil, and Finesse. And you also have Reptile, not his first appearance, but kind of a first team appearance, including him, all in the same book. and may end up being one of those books to have if there's ever a full hard reset in comic books or in live action where we're looking at Young Avengers, Avengers Academy, Strange Academy, and just going with a more youthful approach to comic characters. I think just for the fact that it has so many first appearances, this one is worth picking up and having. All right, so those are the books that I picked up from Professor's Comics. I showed you some of the books that I'd like you to grade for me. I think it's a pretty good deal. I get you to grade my books and you tell me what condition they're in. But hopefully it's a fun exercise too. I hope you enjoyed looking at those books in a little bit more detail. But let me show you what I paid for these books and compare the fair market values of the books raw and the values if I were to get these books professionally graded against what I paid for the books to see how much value I potentially added to my collection. All right, here it is, the order summary for the order that I placed with Professor's Comics on Atomic Avenue. This was placed on April 29th, 2023. I was invoiced $96.30. I paid $12.30 for shipping and handling. And then what I end up doing to determine the total cost of each book is I take that $12.30 and distribute it across each book in the order. And then if my math is correct, I've got a sum of $96.30 for the total cost, which matches the invoice. Cover price fair market value, I determine that by looking at the value of the book in near mint or the highest value. In some odd cases, a copy in very fine condition may be listed by cover price in a higher fair market value than near mint. And I don't quite understand that. I think it's just the timing of the sale. And so I always take the greater of the two because I feel like a near mint copy should be more valuable. So for better or worse, I'm using that formula to determine my fair market value. And then if I look at column AA, I can see how much value potentially I've added to my collection raw. And for me, the good news is these values are holding up, and I have added a positive value of $114.70 just by adding these raw books to my collection as compared to how much I paid for them. So for example, Avengers Academy #1, cover price has that book at $34 for a raw copy, and I paid $6.03 to acquire that book on Atomic Avenue for a value gain of almost $28. That was the big winner in this order. Venom #9, a fair market value of $32 raw. I paid $17.03 for almost a $15 value add. And then Fantastic Four 183, I paid $14. Cover price has that at $26. And Ironheart #7, I paid $4.53. Cover price has that book at $16. But this is great to see. All of the books added positive value based on what I paid for them. And this is why I don't mind paying shipping from the seller, because even if I add the shipping cost to each book evenly, it's still a positive value add. Now, it's not to say that I'm cheating. This isn't a surprise to me. I target these books. I'm looking for books of significance, key books that according to my math and according to trusted resources online, I target these books. I look for books. Sometimes the books will lose value by the time they get to my hand. So when I'm unboxing and kind of going through the order summary, that's why sometimes the value add is negative, is because they've dropped in value. Now, not a whole lot of time has passed since I placed this order, so I'm not shocked that the values just kind of held steady. But it's a great thing to see that the values is holding up, at least from a raw book perspective. Now, also what this means is if I were to take these books, I should be able to take them and repost them online at their fair market value and see them sell somewhere around that value. But I don't intend to flip these books raw or anything like that. This is really about minimizing risk for me. And the risk minimization is getting raw books in high grade that have value raw with the potential to go up even further if I were to get them professionally graded. And while I'm going to have you grade some of these books, I did purchase them all at near mint, which technically by definition is a 9.4. So if I were to assign a 9.4 to all of these books, let's see if there is any value if I were to send them into CGC. And some of them do have value, in particular Wonder Woman 67 sitting at $120 Again, that's that bondage cover. Not a collector of those covers, but a collector of potential value like this. That's why I picked it up. All of those great Brian Ball and Wonder Woman cover books have value in a 9.4. So it's just a great example. A $5.78 investment on Wonder Woman 82. If it grades out at a 9.4, fair market value of that book is around $50. Now, when you add in the cost to get these books graded, let's see if there's any CGC value that gets added. And overall, a $30.69 value add, not too bad, kind of a break-even scenario. Daredevil 206, CGC value of $2, weird in a 9.4. Lady Killer #1, second print in a 9.4, only at $29. $39 for Venom #9 in a 9.4. That's a little surprising to me, but I think, as books are more recently released, with that book only being 3 or 4 years old, more people expect and are seeking out the 9.8s on those types of books. So I wouldn't send all of these to CGC with the intent of getting 9.4s. It would just be almost like a what if scenario, or like a worst case scenario. And again, minimizing risk. Worst case, I buy these books, they have value raw, and I never get them graded, fine. And then second worst case, if I decide to get them all graded and they don't grade out as a 9.6 or a 9.8 and they come back 9.4, I'm still able to get my money back. So it was worth the chance to invest in these books. But I do believe that they do have potential to go up even further, either by giving them a little bit of attention, possibly even a quick press, or it's possible that just at a 9.8 candidate slipped into this order under the graded label near mint. Now, in all reality, not all of these books are 9.8 candidates, but just for fun, let's figure out what the ceiling would be for this order. And what I try to do is I'm trying to minimize risk. I'm looking for raw value, and I'm also looking for extreme cases of 9.8. And we can see here that every single book in this order, except for Daredevil 207 in a 9.8, is $100 or more. And so that's great to see. Now, just again, hypothetically, if they all got 9.8, the potential value for this order, these 12 books, $980.48. Here's Wonder Woman 67 in a 9.8, making the jump all the way to 150 in a 9.8. Avengers Academy #1 at $159.33 in a 9.8. Lady Killer #1, $145.67 in a second print in a 9.8. So a lot of great value here. If this order did have some 9.8 candidates, and I'm really looking forward to digging into your evaluation and your feedback on some of the grades, and then I'll compare your grades to mine and see what these books ultimately grade out as. But I think just at a first glance, like one of the sort of rules that I have for grading is you should kind of take your experience with grading and do a gut check and do that first assessment. A lot of times my final grade is my first grade, particularly with modern books. I think as you get older and go back in era and you're dealing with that 4.0 to 7.0 range, I think that's where there's some variance in terms of your initial assessment and grade. But a lot of times if you're looking at books that are considered to be modern, recently released books, or books from the last 10 years or so, you can kind of just almost look at it right away, and you do have to hold the comic. I'm asking you to look at a digital picture, but a lot of times if you're holding the comic book raw and you just kind of look at the front, look at the back, and it just sort of has this feel, almost like the grade jumps out at you. And there's many times where I look at the book and go, this is a 9.6. There's no way this is a 9.8, but it's not less than this. And I'll go back and look at it again, and I'm like, nope, still a 9.6. It didn't go up in grade and it didn't go down. And I understand older books, you have to really scrutinize and use lots of tools, magnifying glasses, black lights, all kinds of stuff to find defects and really kind of hone in on what that specific grade is. Those mid grades are ultra tough to really come up with a final grade. But a lot of these books in this order, they're not just modern in terms of age, it's modern in terms of paper quality and glossiness and things like that. Things that you're just used to seeing, where you can really kind of assess the grade very quickly. And it's a helpful skill if you are handling these books at a convention or an LCS, where you're able to look at a book and examine it, and you don't want to bring a toolbox with you and have all of these different lights and try and figure it out. You need to be able to quickly assess a book. So hopefully this exercise was useful to you, where it really kind of just challenges you to take a few seconds, look at a book, and just say, based on what I see, This is kind of the grade that I come up with. And again, if you're dealing with the holiest of grails, a zero point 0.5 grade could be thousands or tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands if you go up into the high grades. Golden Age, right? That's a great example of just a slight movement in grade could make or break a book in terms of value. But when we're dealing with modern books, I think that's why a lot of graders overgrade books. They just kind of look at it once and go, you know what, that's near mint. And you have to be able to give that quick assessment, but also give it the full overview, your full grading treatment. And by doing so, then you can perform a better quick assessment going forward. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.